Welcome back. This is the post-lunch session here at the Sri Lanka Digital Dialogue 2019. We will now continue with our technology panel. New digital technologies resulting in new revenue models. Are CIOs bold enough to adapt? And opining on this panel will be Zahir Miran, who is the head of IT at Habib Bank. Could I have Mr. Miran join us on stage, please? Please give him a big round of applause. Joining us next is Brian Gunaratne, who is the head of ICT at Candor Holdings, Sri Lanka. Mr. Gunaratne. Samat Fernando, who is the CIO of Hirdaramani Group. Mr. Sandun Hapugoda, the head of digital payments, Sri Lanka and Maldives at MasterCard. Mr. Gayan Wickramasinghe, who is the CTO at Ibans Finance PLC. And moderating the session, I'd like to welcome back on stage the editor of DynamicCIO.com, Rahul Neelmani. Rahul, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us, and over to you, Rahul.
Since morning, there have been a great variety of speakers who have spoken about technology. We had Ramesh, who gave a perspective on how to build a digital-first organization. I had an opening, keynote panel, which consisted of a great deal of government departments, bank, and we had Madhu with us from Virtusa. So I would like to differentiate between two discussions which I had in the morning and which I am going to have now. And the topic may be a little cliched, but we will try to see how much value can we add through our information sharing. And I would encourage everybody sitting here to ask questions, interact with our panelists. New digital technologies resulting in new revenue models. Are CIOs bold enough to adopt? How forcefully are the company boards and company management asking the CIOs to adopt new technologies? Are they doing so? And if they are, then how does the CIO's office react to that?
Take in our case, where we have a lot of technology, it's reaping a lot of benefits, but I think we can go much further. In fact, our ROIs can improve much further if the board or maybe even the staff, the mindsets change. Because we see a lot of scope for improvement, a lot of scope for adoption of technology. In our case, from customer onboarding to lease applications to the back office process, in fact, to the point that we send the purchase orders electronically now. So the supplier payments and all that, it's now streamlined. So the turnaround times have reduced a lot. So the benefits are huge. But I feel if the company mindsets, the staff mindset especially, if it changes to in the right direction, we can go much, much further. So I think that's a huge, common case study in many places probably.
Yeah. So if I ask you, what's the main? How do you convince your management on the adoption of these new technologies? Because technology is moving at its pace. It will not wait for any one of us. However, each organization has its own unique set of challenges, whether it is budgetary issues, whether it is acceptance for the change, whether it is boards, participation in the journey of technology transformation and digital transformation. So how do you talk to your management for adoption of new technologies?
I think the key parameter here is ROI. So if you take the board, they look at the ROI especially. But in a usual scenario, the ROIs are a little behind the technology adoption, especially because of, as I said, because of cultural adoption. So, but in the long run, so when you do a technology proposal and you come up with a TCO for maybe next 10 years, if you can prove that the benefits will come in from year T3, T4, T5 onwards, I think then if you can show a positive TCO over the next 10 years of adoption, I think it's easier to convince the board. Because board mostly look at from a ROI point of view.
ROI point of view.
And so in our case, I think the long term, we can in fact look at branchless operations. Because once the field staff, like the recovery or the sales staff, have the system in the hand, in the mobiles, they can actually operate from their homes. There's no need of a physical branch for them to report to anymore. So we can in fact look at branchless to some extent. We can look at in faster turnaround times. So the financial benefits of that has to be quantified. So that
But are you working towards this branchless?
we are in fact, that's one of the long-term goals of our mobile apps.
Okay.
Which is to some extent is happening. For instance, we don't want our recovery staff to report to the branches anymore. We just want them to visit the customers, and we can track their movements, the visits to the customers, the collections, everything we can track on a map. So it's a fully geotagged process.
Okay.
So you can see the ground level movements are very transparent from the head office. So we can look at who's doing what from the comfort of a chair.
Okay, I will get back to you with some specific use cases using these new age technologies. Mr. Fernando, you've heard three of your peers and slightly different approach that I will take to ask you a question. Now, many a times, the CIO is bombarded with a lot of technology options. However, it is up to your wisdom and also the need of the organization that you have to apply and introduce new technologies. In today's times, it is also imperative on the CIO to look at introducing technology with the mindset of creating new revenue models using the technology. Most of the platform organizations today that we see, be it Uber or back in India, if it is Paytm, the fintech companies, the digital payment banks, all of them are using technology platforms to create revenue streams. And even the conventional organizations are also trying to imitate them or trying to do the same things as the disruptors are doing. So where do you see it?
We are a apparel industry and we are a PO manufacturer. We are not a retail like Abans. We work for B2B players like M&S, Adidas, etc. So in that context, our main innovation comes from like a product innovation. We use technology to improve the product quality, reduce wastages. Not even very fancy, it's just more or less data-driven decision making. Lots of data inputs from the shop floor is taken in more and more and given to our management. But we also have the same challenges like some of these colleagues said. Adaptation is an issue. A 30-year-old manufacturing expert whose gut feel says, this is how a garment should be stitched. And most of them are sometimes correct. Versus something of my dashboard trend showing. It's a different issue. It's like a firefighting mode. Sometimes our knowledge and our success over the last 100 years is working against us. Our era and CIOs are on the main cockpit. Let's play our cards right.
Right. So that's a great comment to end this discussion, that CIOs are in the cockpit and in the driver's seat. And most certainly, organizations depend on the intelligence and on the wisdom of the IT organizations to take them forward, to create new revenue streams, and to further the business.